While I'm sad that Campaign 3 won't be returning until June 30th, I understand and I'm glad that the cast will 1. Get a rest, and 2. That we get to experience Exandria Unlimited Calamity. Now, I wasn't very interested in the previous Exandria Unlimited, but the first episode of Calamity has me really intrigued. And I think I would like to begin covering that series in the gap between the next episode of Campaign 3. But now we actually have to start talking about Campaign 3. And the episode picks up in the aftermath of Imogen and Laudna's incident. The lovable Captain Xandis is flying the ship when they look down below and they can see a caravan which is being attacked. In a scene that is reminiscent from the new Dune movie, this underground creature called a Dustra is essentially trying to destroy this caravan. The party, being good people, and I use heavy air quotes with that, decide to help this caravan. Using harpoons that are attached to the side of the ship, Captain Xandis pulls the Dustra from the earth. And it was not what I was expecting. It is a massive cephalopod, like an octopus, which is terrifying. I don't know what it is about cephalopods, but they always have unsettled me. Just looking at like a giant squid makes my fight or flight response go haywire, because they're so alien and also so deadly. And in the middle of all of this fray, Imogen talks to the Dustra. And we learn that this creature was tortured and that its children were taken. Now, immediately when I heard this, my first thought went to, okay, this has to do with Armand Tresci and the Nightmare King. Because think about it for a second. If you could corrupt a Dustra or a young Dustra, what would that lead to? You could level entire city blocks with one of these creatures. A Dustra, even a young Dustra, is such an asset, it's scary. And I think that it's no coincidence that Matt showed us this scene. It's obviously foreshadowing. And when I was first watching it, I thought, man, this feels kinda out of place. We just had this big moment. What is this? But no. It is connected. It is directly connected to the effects of the Gnarl Rock, Armand Tresci, and the entire adventure moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised that at the end of the Bosceros arc, during the final confrontation with Armand Tresci, that he has a young Dustra which has been corrupted by a Gnarl Rock by his side. But hey, we'll see if I'm right. They are eventually able to drop the Dustra off and save the caravan, and after collecting a meager reward, they arrive in Bosceros. And during a quick parlay with the Crawler gang, we learn a few things. Firstly, House Greymore is known in Bosceros. And we have to begin asking, is Ashton important? He said his family is the opposite of royalty, so are the Greymores like crime lords within the city? Or perhaps they just have an onerous reputation based on something that they did. And Ashton obviously has a great deal of combat training. Where did he learn all of this? It could have just been that he picked all this up from scraps on the street, but there could be something else here. Maybe he was trained in a crime family. I wouldn't put it past Taliesin to have his backstory essentially be kid from the mafia family turns punk, runs away, loses his memory, and gains dunamancy powers. That feels like a very Taliesin Jaffe backstory. It is also unsettling and confusing just how quickly information moves around Bosceros. I, for one, am very interested to know how exactly that happens. Because I got a Kronk moment from the Emperor's New Groove of trying to figure out how everyone in the city knows that Ashton Greymore is there seconds after he leaves a Crawler gang. Does everyone have sending stones? Do they have the world's quickest courier pigeon system? I have to know. Because this is insane. Obviously, this is a magical world and anything can happen. But, like, just again, how? How does the information spread this quickly? Is everyone locked into their Marquette instant messenger system? Do they check face scroll like every minute of every day? I'm being sarcastic here, but again, I would love to know a little bit more behind this world building, because it does pose an issue for the party. Information is going to spread across Bosceros like wildfire. However, Ashton guides the party to the Raha Den, which is an interesting mix of a inn and a market. and usually the medieval fantasy trope is mixing an inn with a tavern, but I am very interested in the inn and market mix. It's just another way that Matt is embracing the Middle Eastern world building in this Marquette setting. And I thought at this moment the episode was going to slowly progress, they were going to hunt down Armand Treshy, and then everything changes. A wayfish elf with a rapier begins to be robbed on the streets below. The party runs to help, and Erika Ishii is introduced as the second guest star in this campaign 3. And I, for one, am excited to have Erika at the table. I've seen many games that she's participated in with the cast, and she's a fantastic actress. It's unknown whether she'll stay as long as Dorian did, but all we can do is be happy that she is here. Hey everyone, before continuing with the video, I just want to give a shout out to the channel's affiliate and sponsor, Only Crits. Only Crits is an online store that specializes in dice sales and 5e adventure modules. They also carry in stock dice trays and other assorted D&D accessories. I personally love their spell scroll dice trays and their duck dice. I mean, look guys, they're ducks in dice. If that's not gonna sell you, I don't know what is. They also have other little small friends like chickens or pandas. If you're looking for a fun one-shot, I'd recommend The Emperor's End, or if you're looking for a full adventure, I'd recommend The Mountain Killer. It's a short adventure only running from levels 4 to 6, but it packs a lot of epic adventure and mystery in those short 3 levels. And it's set up so that you can drag and drop this plot into your homebrew adventures really easily. I've got an affiliate link in the description below, and if you enter the code DUNGEON, you will get a discount on your order. If you want awesome dice, accessories, or adventure modules, check out my friends at Only Crits. And now, back to the video. And now we can talk about a few things during the battle that I think stand out. Firstly, Imogen going bald. And Laura Bailey is just not having the best luck at all when it comes to these wild magic surges, and I'm beginning to feel really bad, because some of these surges are helpful, they're useful, but Imogen just keeps on getting the physically deforming ones. It's not too bad though, as the hair will grow back in 24 hours, unless Matt does something differently. And then we got another use of command that was fantastic from Fresh Cut Grass. I swear, at the end of this campaign, I'm gonna need a huge compilation of all of Sam's uses of the command spell, because monologue was one of the funniest. I love how in the middle of combat, Sam forced Matt to roleplay this gnoll having an existential crisis. It's these moments of flavor that ramp everything up. And this is something that I continue to commend Campaign 3 on, and I think that other DMs and players can really learn from watching Critical Role. The cast has elevated their gameplay during combats and has added in more flavor. They're comboing with each other, they're using spells and abilities in very many unique ways, and they're also describing their actions, I think, better than in previous campaigns. And also, we can't forget about these thematic abilities, which Ashton brought out a new one in this battle. Ashton unleashed his Hyper Rage, and there are many different effects that it can be, but he got Time. And this allows Ashton to make an additional attack as part of his attack action. Now, while I think that this is a really cool ability, and I understand that it is random, you're not going to get this every time, looking back at Ashton's Dunamancy subclass, and just the thought that Ashton at level 6 as a barbarian is making the same number of attacks per turn, or has the same number of attacks per turn as a 11th level fighter, that's crazy to me. I think I'm leaning more towards that Ashton subclass is unbalanced, and I know now for me personally, as a dungeon master, I would not allow this subclass at my table. But as long as Critical Role and the cast are okay with it and are all having fun, it's fine, and that's what really matters. But I think that it is definitely true that if Ashton rolls all his most powerful options, that we should not be considering him a 6th level character. I think that his power scaling jumps up 2 or 3 levels at minimum. And that's a little scary, not for Matt as the dungeon master or the party, but probably for the NPCs across Exandria, because the party went dark in this combat. Imogen straight up murders some people, and Laudna kills another. Now, these are bandits, but did they deserve to die? We've been saying that this is the good party, and while they do take good and selfless actions, at the beginning of the episode, with the Dustra they were looking for a reward, and now they just seem bloodthirsty. I think with Imogen it might be partially due to her corruption in Laudna. Maybe she was just following Imogen's lead, or maybe that's a bit of Delilah's influence. Ashton then robs one of the members blind. They definitely seem to be descending into darkness in this campaign, and I'd like to bring up one of my commenters from last episode who talked about a conspiracy theory of perhaps splitting the party, where one campaign would be based around these evil characters and the other the good characters. I don't know if this would ever happen, but I think it would definitely be interesting, and anything can go in Campaign 3 it seems like. There have been 2 new DMs brought into the Critical Role family, so it's not out of the question. They have guest stars coming in all the time that could fill out the cast, but whatever your thoughts are on this conspiracy theory, we are definitely seeing a darker party. These characters feel like a far cry than who they were when we were first introduced to them. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has a reason to turn evil, to fall to the corruption that is all around them. I feel like it's a No Country for Old Men situation, where the good characters are just outmatched by all the moral decay that is surrounding them. I mean, seriously, who's the best out of all these characters right now? It's probably Orym, if we're being honest, because even Fresh Cut Grass, we have seen, is starting to realize that the treatment of the automatons is wrong. And I can totally see him going on a darker path too. But I digress. After the battle, we truly get to meet Erika Ishii's character, who is called Dusk. And Dusk, from the battle and all the abilities we've seen, is probably a Hexblade Warlock. They have been touched by the Feywild, which is super interesting, and their memory is hazy. And I'm wondering if this is the tie that we need to get to the Feywild. Perhaps Dusk will stay with the party even after Armand Treshy is captured, because eventually the party is probably going to have to go to the Feywild. And I can also see the connection of Imogen wanting to go to the Feywild to get another piece of the Gnarl Rock. The other party members might want to go to the Feywild as well so that they can talk to the Callaways, because we are about to get more of Armand Treshy and probably going to be exposed to more of the corruption that him and his faction are propagating throughout Marquette. This definitely feels like Matt is setting up a jaunt to the Feywild, a quick or long trip to another plane. And the Feywild is so full of wonder that I'm excited for it. But first things first, they gotta deal with Armand Treshy, which is why I'm sitting here so sad almost, because when we get back to the main story June 30th, everything's going to be kicking off. Campaign 3 seems to be shifting into its top gear once again. So when we come back June 30th, I'm excited to see where everything goes, but also a little nervous because we'll have to maybe pick up momentum again. And I also don't want to lose completely the Imogen and Laudna thread, because that tension will probably still be there. I don't know. But I trust the cast and I trust Critical Role. And if you need some content between now and then, remember I'm going to be covering Exandria Unlimited Calamity, and also I highly recommend checking out this video right here. And thank you for entering the dungeon.